Welcome to another episode of City Life Uncensored. Extremely excited today. One of my good friends, and I actually just learned before we went live here that she was one of our very first agents, of which I'm taking all of the credit for the recruiting of her. But right, we got Sara Augustine here. You know, welcome. Happy to have you here. Looking forward to kind of shooting the shit here together for a little while. You know, on the broker side as an agent here, you've been here about 2 years. About 4 years in the real estate industry, obviously killing it, right? But before we get into all that, right, man, like as a friend, I love what you're doing. You know, how did we get here, right? Tell us how you kind of got and came up, right? Like, give me the scoop.
Well, first of all, I'm happy to be here with you guys. I am a little bit nervous. I don't really like talking through a microphone or being on camera, but you know. But yeah, I'm happy to be here though. The whole reason why I came to City Life was because it was back to my roots in the South Side. That's where I grew up. My mom still has like a little diner here, O'Leary's. She's had it for 34 years.
I've been there a few times. I take some potential investors there all the time, yeah.
It's wild in there. You know, never know what it's going to be like. It's
had it hungover way too many times.
Oh, yeah. Best hangover food.
And I swear that like diners have the best coffee, and I don't know why I think that, but they do.
They do. Sure. I agree. But I kind of grew up down here, and I started working at that restaurant when I was like, I don't know. I remember pulling seats up to like cook bacon for customers when I was like 6. So always worked there. High school, would work there on the weekends. Just like learned work ethic from a really young age. If you wanted something, you had to work for it. So anyway, I was there for like my whole life working at the diner. My sisters all worked there. And
how many sisters you have? 2
sisters and a brother. Okay. So one of 4. It wasn't always like, oh, my mom just had a diner though. We grew up super, super poor. Okay. So my mom kind of took a risk with opening this diner, and it was really hard for a while. I mean, she wasn't really around for when I was a lot younger, just because she was opening up a business. At the time, didn't understand it, but looking back, I see how hard she worked to kind of build this business to be successful, but sacrificed a lot of time with the kids. And basically, we were with my dad a lot, and he worked 3 jobs too. So hence, it was just like me, my siblings growing up, running the streets of Southside, like causing havoc, fighting, and just, I don't know, being a typical city kid.
Yeah.
I loved it though. I had the best childhood. But just a lot of fighting, a lot of like, I don't know, city kid shit. Yeah. You know, yeah. I mean,
Southside living's different.
It is different. And people are like, you grew up in the South Side? Like, how's that possible? You know, people don't realize that people grow up here.
Yeah, I mean, it used to be primarily a residential neighborhood with families.
Absolutely. I mean, this was like our playground. We're like running around Carson Street playing like Release the Den, you know? So started working at the diner though. The whole plan always was for my mom's kids to take over the diner and kind of just keep that in the family and keep it going. I'd come in there on the weekends, 14 years old, hungover as shit, puking in the back, having to like serve pancakes and make eggs. And I'm like, this cannot be my life. I did that all throughout high school, went to college. I went to Pitt, go Pitt, P-I-T-T. Nice. No, but I went there and I still worked at the diner on the weekends. Again, hungover, hated my life. I'm like, this
What'd you go to Pitt for?
I went to Pitt for marketing and accounting.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, loved it there. Partied a lot, but
what year did you graduate from Pitt?
2010.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Very cool.
But then once I graduated, I was like, okay, diner life is not for me. I quit. My family, my sister still works there, my one, and my other sister opened up another diner. So it's just in the blood to
the diner world.
Seriously, man. But they work so damn hard. I mean, I work hard, but they work really hard. Cooking, slaving every single day is just, it ain't the life for me though, you know? Yeah. After college, I worked
Did she just say without saying it that she's turned into a little bougie?
No, don't even say that, because my sisters all call me that, and I'm like I feel like I'm the furthest from that. But my sister,
Kind of boots you got on there.
Not name brand ones, Case. Ever since I moved out of the South Side to the North Hills, they're like, "Oh, you live in the bougie North Hills." They all live around here still, so like coming to my house is like they have to cross a bridge, and they're like, "That's far as hell. Like we're not coming out there." So I get them once a year, Christmas Eve. That's the only time they come to my house. It's a blessing and a curse, I think, like to live there, because they don't come often, but they bitch about it every time they do. But going,
it's like they're driving across the country to get.
Literally,
to
it's 15 minutes. Yeah. It's crazy. So I don't know. After college, I worked a couple jobs. I was a Miller Lite girl for a long time. Did promos. I like helped run the girls. So
that sounds so.
I mean, I was in charge of them. I was managing them.
We get it. But.
I wasn't running them. But it's so crazy because I did that. I bartended while I was in college. So I put myself through college. I was the first one in my family to ever go to college. Awesome. I say it because I really am so proud to say that and to have accomplished that, just because that just wasn't in the cards for my family. And whenever I went, my family was like, what are you going to go to college for? How are you going to pay for it? I did some little odds and end things in college, and then also bartended, still worked at the diner, and I was that Miller Lite girl. And I ended up paying off all my college debt by 25, which was also amazing for me.
Yeah, congrats.
Thank you. But it's crazy because doing all like working in the diner my whole life, then bartending, then being this like promo girl, and it really has led me. I feel like that is why, part of the reason why I am successful in real estate, because like I can handle anybody. I grew up with everybody and anybody, dealing with them, serving them, customer service, trying to get them to buy a product from me. I don't know. Selling and real estate, it like all comes a little bit natural, because I feel like everything that I have done throughout my life, the little silly odds and end jobs, have like molded me and helped me to be like good in real estate. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Everything was customer service. I mean,
yeah.
Everything you did, entrepreneurship and customer service, pretty much your whole life just ties directly into real estate.
Yeah.
Dude, this, I can take us a lot of ways, because, appreciate all of that. I mean, absolutely fantastic to hear that story, and a lot of it I didn't know. But I want to throw it over to you, Bri, right? Because that obviously has to, and I know you know whatever, but a lot of that has to resonate between like growing up poor, the North Hills comment now, right? All of that, right? So I'm sure you have some questions, or you can relate, and from that standpoint, right? Like I grew up middle class. I had I lived a little bit different of a life growing up than you guys did from a poor perspective and all of that. So
yeah, I mean, when you grow up in certain neighborhoods, I don't think you realize you're poor. Like when you're a kid, you run around, you were playing down in Southside. I was playing up in Mount Oliver, running around, playing release, and on Bronzeville Road, and just stupid ass places. And
my dad's from Mount Oliver, so I grew up half the time there too. So I was half Mount Oliver, half Southside. I always rep the Southside, though, just because Mount Oliver, that comes from my like real rough hood side. Like that's MO.
Yeah. I mean, but I think it gives you a different perspective once you like actually start doing things, once you start accomplishing things too, because it's you have this. I always had like a chip on my shoulder just because the way I did grow up. So it always gave me like more encouragement. Like anytime I did anything productive, I was like, shit, I don't have to be like everybody I grew up with. I don't have to be like my parents. I could do my own thing. So once you really start doing it, like it opens up so many doors. It just opened up so many avenues for me just by getting started doing stuff. So I think whenever I started in real estate, coming up from those neighborhoods I was like, man, I got an actual job, even though it's commission-based job, but it was something special. And I never thought whenever I was a kid I would ever work or have a paycheck. Casey put us on a paycheck. But I never thought I would. Like, I didn't even know what work was. I didn't naturally grow up with a good work ethic. Mm-hmm. So I had to kind of like learn that. And I watched like my great grandmother, who was a waitress for many years. And she worked until she was like 82, and that was like one of my best friends. So she was like an inspiration to me. I was like, she worked so hard, and she paid our bills. She paid other people's bills within the family. So that's where I kind of started learning. But yeah, no, I can definitely relate. North Hills, people from the South do not want to go to.
No.
I can't. My best man in my wedding, Matt Waterman, if he ever listens to this.
What up, Matt?
I've been in my place, I think, almost 4 years, and he still hasn't been out my house. So
it's too far.
A little shout out. He needs to come. He needs to come visit. But yeah, getting people from the South to drive out North Hills, it's impossible.
Sounds like you're doing something right. You get your sisters to come out there, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, real quick though, just going back what you said, it just like resonated with me about, I guess, growing up poor too. I don't know if that you felt like this, but whenever I started being successful, I almost felt like undeserving of it, because I wasn't like accustomed to that. And I almost felt like I never wanted my family to feel like, oh, you think like you're better or anything like that, because I never felt like that. And even now I still struggle with that. I would notice myself when I was younger, I would get an opportunity, but I would like self-sabotage. I just was like, that's not for me. Like I don't deserve that. Even though I would like really work really hard, I would always end up like self-sabotaging myself. I feel like I did that in like relationships, jobs, friendships sometimes. I feel like I just felt undeserving of successful, healthy careers, relationships, all of that. Like a lot of my family, they had babies young. That's what they did. They didn't like kind of really like go out and have these like crazy like careers or anything like that. So I had to almost like want to break that cycle of have a baby young and that's going to be my life. And I did break the cycle, and I'm like mature now and more like accepting of who I am, whereas I do feel like I deserve it. I've worked so fucking hard to get where I'm at. Yeah. And I don't feel bad.
Yeah, look, it's so easy because most of us in our lives, we're a product of our surroundings, whether we believe that or not. And so, you're going down this path of changing your family's trajectory forever and what you're doing. And that can be incredibly lonely at times whenever you're surrounded by certain stereotypes of what is expected of you to be based on those surroundings. And it's not necessarily your family, right? But it's just that idea of growing up poor in a poor community, living a poor life, poor work, whatever that is, right? And you made a decision to yourself to put yourself on an island for a long period of time and says, I want something more and I'm going to go after that. And it takes a certain mindset to be able to willing to do that, knowing, hey, I'm going to change the trajectory of my family's life forever. And that's the key of getting and surrounding yourself with people that are also around that, because it could be draining. It could create the negative in your mind. And we've had, a couple of years of conversations, you and I, around all of this of go after more, continue to train your brain to think and get rid of that negativity, that negative world, that I don't deserve this, that you created for yourself over being a part of that life for such a long period of time. And you're doing that. And it's absolutely fantastic to see. Let me ask you this question though, right? Because thinking about where you're at now and putting the numbers together, probably even going to college was something different that a lot of your surroundings and friends and, the people you were playing release with, to Brian's point, et cetera, like that probably wasn't 100%, natural and normal. Paying your way through college, right? Paying off those student loans quickly, like that alone in itself at that age is something probably that was extremely difficult in terms of the mindset of doing that and overcoming all of that. My question to you though, like, it sounds like you didn't go take probably wasn't really known, but once you go to college, like at least in my life and in my family and my surroundings, was you go get a corporate job, a professional job with a salary, and that's the rest of your world. So I've overcome those challenges at the last pieces of my years to become an entrepreneur and, everything that I'm doing as an investor. But, it sounds like you didn't ultimately take that route. You kind of went back into the bartending world, into that. So why, right? Like, what was that for you? What was that like and why did you do that?
Well, I did work corporate for a little bit.
Okay.
While I was still bartending, I've my whole life I've had like more than one job. So one thing, my parents, both of them, they were divorced when I was like 3, but they both were hard workers. You know, they worked really hard for everything that they did have. So I did work corporate job, and it was the most robotic, soul-sucking.
What was it?
I worked for an insurance company, and I was like a claim manager.
Okay.
And, you know, it was like in a cubicle, like every day, 8 hours a day. I mean, I would get in trouble because I would be like walking around socializing, and it wasn't me to sit in a cubicle all day and just like look at a computer. And it got to the point where I was making more money bartending, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. I am so miserable, and I'm quitting this job. That's when I quit. And then ultimately I was bartending and was like, I need to do something else. Where is my calling? What am I passionate about? I always knew sales. I mean, I was literally the kid that was in 3rd grade, like selling her Halloween candy and making money. I mean, I was making.
I love that.
I like that.
I mean,
too.
since I would bring it all in
love me
a
some
couple months
candy.
after, and I'd sell it to the kids.
That is awesome. Like you get it for free.
Yeah,
That's all-
exactly.
that's
I
all
make money off
marketing.
of it.
Pillowcases. Well, yeah, that's huge.
It was
margins.
it was perfect. But that's when I kind of started into real estate.
Okay, so give us that. Let's go. Here we go.
Yes,
Get into the
good
nitty
stuff.
gritty here.
I started in real estate. I started at Howard Hanna. And I remember when I started there, I had no idea what to do. I had just finished real
How long did
estate
it take
school.
you to get your license?
Probably like 6 months.
Did you fail it like 12 times like Brian did?
I did not fail it.
You missed out. Missed out on a good experience. I failed it 3 times.
I started there, and after the school, like, it was, okay, go sell houses. And I'm like, what the hell do I do? I mean, everything I had learned in the classes and stuff didn't mean anything. You had to go out and find clients, and I was nervous. I felt, again, that complex of like, I'm not good enough. You know, how am I going to go?
Where were you working when you started there? Like, I mean, obviously
Squirrel Hill.
But job wise, so you were still bartending.
I was still bartending at Finn McCool's down on the south side.
Okay, oh, I love Fins.
Yeah, I was there for like 10 years. So
Definitely probably bought drinks from you before, but
Probably.
Anyway, sorry for interrupting.
no, it's okay. I
was thinking about my days in the
good old
Southside party
times.
scene.
Oh.
On the fence.
Finn's.
I think I got kicked out of there a couple times as well. But
It was
anyway.
good. That was the bar to be at.
it
So,
was.
but I started there and with Howard Hanna at the Squirrel Hill, and I was like, how are people going to trust me? I'm just a bartender. How are they going to trust me with like buying or selling the biggest asset of their life? It took a while. Honestly, I would say up until like this year for me to actually start really feeling confident in myself and in my abilities and my knowledge and like what I can do for my clients. It took so long because just getting over that like self-doubt and that negative self-talk that I'm not good enough. But anyway, I went to Howard Hanna. I found the highest producer at that office at the time. She was producing like 35, 40 million a year.
Let's give a shout out. Who was it?
Her name's Andrea.
Andrew, we appreciate you.
She,
Good stuff.
I owe a lot to her, to be honest. So I found her. I pretty much was like, listen, let me be your bitch.
I love that.
She was like, okay, she was doing all this business on her own. Now it was a Squirrel Hill market, right? So most of the properties are $1 million plus. But she was,
Must be nice.
yes, she worked hard to get there. So praise her. But anyway, I became pretty much her bitch. At least that's what like everybody in the office would like kind of say or think, you know? But I was like her assistant. So anytime she needed to meet with contractors or inspections or show her clients' houses, I did it all. And I learned so much from doing that. I didn't really make much money doing that at all, obviously, but I didn't have my own clients. So the only way I was going to learn was with someone else's. So she kind of took me under her wing in that sense. And I just did all the work she didn't want to. And then every once in a while, she'd get like a $200,000-$300,000 lead. And she would be like, do you want this? And I'd be like, that feeds my family. Like, yes, you know? And so slowly she started giving me like more leads, and we started like working together. I mean, I was still just basically assisting her. But I learned so much from that.
I say that's one of my bigger regrets. Like, where if I can start over as an agent, I would have joined a team right away. Like, we're joining a team where like had like a good mentor. I went to all the classes. I started at KW, went to every class. They had decent trainings, but you only get so much from trainings, because typically the trainings aren't really people doing a lot of transactions. People doing a lot of transactions are busy training their team and just busy doing a lot of transactions.
Yeah.
So a lot of the trainings are always held by just somebody who's kind of just puddling along, does a few transactions, very, very basic trainings.
Yeah, the teacher's teaching something they don't do themselves, right?
Yeah, just old PowerPoint slides. You can tell it's just passed through years and years and years. If I would have started over, I wish I would have had somebody that was like crushing it like that. I would 100% like start off with a team assistant, whatever it needed, a buyer's agent, whatever, to run around. What do you need help with? I need to learn. That's the quickest way, because there's so much trial and error in real estate. There's so many different ways to find leads. Not all of them are right. Not all of them are wrong. There's so many ways to manage transactions. There's so much information out there that it just drives somebody who's just tossed into, when you get your license, you're just thrown in there. I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
go do some business. That's what it is. It's you're not getting paid to do that. Like, you're getting commission to do that. Go figure it out. And there's a lot of different paths. On a team or having a mentor like that would be extremely, extremely helpful right from the gate. So no, that's awesome.
I spent 10 years in corporate America. Well, close to 10 years in corporate America. And I always hated what I did, right? But I believed the entire time, and I always outworked everybody, similar to you. And the theory for me was always getting that education. I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. I don't know where I'm going, but as long as I can get that education and learn from it, that's the most important thing. My question to you is, with the background and everything that you've told us, how did you have that knowledge to say, hey, look, I'm going to come in here and be a bitch and get that education from somebody? Otherwise, because I don't know anything. Like that probably took, and hearing from other people in office, hey, you're the bitch, when you're really, they're the bitch, because you're getting that education. You're learning and you're working with the top producer in the office who's crushing it. And oh, by the way, now you're getting $300,000-$400,000 listings from her. So you won at the end. How did you have the wherewithal and the knowledge ahead of time to know, hey, how do I come in and work with this person, go find the top producer, be their assistant in order to do that? Like, that takes a lot of courage, a lot of strength and ability and smarts to be able to think that, especially coming from the background of which you came from. Thanks.
Yeah, I think that I've always been a super hungry, passionate person with anything I do. My husband will say, like, it drives him crazy because I am all in or all out. Like, I am 100% or 0%. I'm not good with gray. It's black or white. So whenever I do something, I am all in. I think the thing that set me apart from the beginning, and I think that still sets me apart today from other agents, though, is ego. I didn't go into real estate or into that office, and I still don't go into real estate with this ego of like not wanting to learn from other people and not, having that ability to absorb other people's knowledge. You know, I still to this, like, still my ego, I don't have the ego that says like, I am better because I sold this much and you sold this. I can learn something from any agent that's doing anything right now, any transactions. And I think that a lot of agents in this business have such egos, and it really sets them back and hinders their success, to be honest. And I think that just the beginning, I just never went into it with an ego. I just wanted to learn, and I was willing to do whatever it took to learn from the best. I mean, she was producing 35, 40 million a year. I mean, she was the best, and I wanted to learn from that. You know,
quick plug, if she's interested in coming over to our brokerage, we'd love to have her.
Let's go, Andrea.
How do we make that phone call? Can you figure this out for us?
I don't think she's leaving there anytime soon, but
yeah, she clearly has a probably a pretty nice setup, which is
Yeah.
fantastic, right? So fast forward, why'd you leave? Obviously, I mean, it sounds like you had a great setup.
Yeah, well, it was nice. Once I started getting more confident though, the split wasn't great.
By the way, we're gonna get into your confidence here at some point before we end the show, but
that's
anyway.
a lot to unpack there. But the split wasn't great, but I was fine where I was. I mean, I was only there for about a year and a half, almost going on 2 years. So I was just getting started. That's when some tall, lanky dude, I'm just kidding,
with a big nose,
approached me in the gym. No, I was coaching at a gym in the South Side. Everything is revolved around the South Side. That's just what I feel. Anyway, I mean, my husband, I met him in the South Side. He's a detective in the South Side. Everything is the South Side.
We're in the South Side right now.
Yes.
In our speakeasy podcasting.
It's great. Creepy alley you had to walk through.
Creepy pathway.
Yeah.
Haven't done the landscaping. There's bushes growing out of the sidewalk.
Literally went up to her. I was like, I want to park here. You probably have a flat now.
Yeah. But so obviously you approached me in the gym and you said that you guys were starting up a brokerage. And I remember being like, oh, like, why does he want me? First of all, because I was a newer agent. I was only doing I think I 3 million in sales for the year, which was great.
I was going to say to add to that, 3 million is good for your time in the business. That's good.
No, it was great. I was really proud of that.
3 million is equivalent. I mean, obviously it depends on the brokerage you're at, the split that you're getting, if you're on a team. There's a lot that goes into it, but 3 million is much better than probably most entry-level corporate jobs. I mean, a lot better, right? At the end of the day.
100%.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but I wanted.
By the way, again, we'll get into the confidence and the humbleness and the ego, right? Like, I was only doing 3 million at the time. It's, so.
Well, I just say that because I knew I wanted more. I knew that there was more for me. But I had started working hard, and it was crazy because I was building rapport with these clients that she was giving me. And then they were referring me to their family and friends. So I was making business. Basically, she gave me the lead, but then it was me building that rapport and keeping up those relationships that people started trusting me. Mm-hmm. But anyway,
Oh, by the way, I've got something written on my board here that says keys to gaining trust with clients. So we're knocking off 2 birds with 1 stone here. Keep going.
Well, when you had approached me at the gym, and I was not really.
Can I hop in?
Yes.
You were coaching that class, right?
Yes.
That Casey was in?
Yeah.
Did he puke during that?
I think you did puke the first time.
I puked the first time at
You
3MF.
did.
I puked the first time at F45. I'm just fat and out of shape generally, so.
I would try to push him, and he'd be like,
I was just curious, do you still join after he puked his first day in the gym?
I know. I mean, it took a couple of times, I feel like, him coming in saying, you ready to join? You ready to come? And I'd be like, I would just laugh it off like, oh, you're so silly, And then he was like, no, for real, like, let's set up a meeting. And I was like, oh shit, like, he's like, this is real. He wants to like really sit down with me. And I remember you came to the meeting, we went to Fatheads, and
Shout out Fatheads.
It was
in
a quick
the South Side.
It was a quick meeting. Honestly, it was a quick meeting, but I knew that I was ready to take the leap. I think, again, city life, I mean, growing up in the South Side, being this city kid, it spoke to like my soul coming back to the South Side, having my office here and working under people that like grew up in the city and had a similar background as I did, and someone that worked hard for what they had. And I don't know, I wanted to be a part of it early on. For some crazy ass reason, I like believed in you after just meeting you a couple times and talking to you. I'm like, and I remember even telling Shane, like my husband, and he's like, you're doing what? And I'm like, I don't know. He's like, you met these guys at the gym? Like, you're just going to go to the brokerage? Like, there was like there was no agents here. It was like.
You were, the first, I think we're talking about the first outside, call it agent, right?
I think
pretty much outside, like the
yeah.
team.
Yeah. It was I had my license. Brian had his, and it was Lindsay who was your assistant at the time.
Tara, who's
Tara, who's been with you for
now manages
from day
the
one,
brokerage.
and she's now our brokerage manager. Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. I took the leap, and I mean, since then, my business has like.
What are you gonna do this year?
A little under 10. Last year I did 10 million. Last year was a great year. I will say though, difference as far as last year and this year. Last year I did like 10 million and had maybe 7 listings. This year I'm going to do a little under that, but I'm almost even with listings and buyers, which is to me is a huge goal met, and I feel so good about it because listings were always something that everyone would say, once you get listings, you kill it. It's easy money. Listings for me are always harder because I feel like as a buyer's agent, I know I can prove myself. I will work hard. I will be available. I'm going to get you the best deal that I can, and I can negotiate the hell like out of a transaction. I can negotiate, but I just feel like I can
all like feisty, like let's go.
Well, I just feel like I have so much control. Like I like proving myself as a buyer's agent. Sometimes I feel like a seller's agent, you're proving yourself, but it's so much less work.
We chatted about this.
Yeah.
You have to, like a lot of the listings you're getting too is because you work so hard as a buyer's agent.
Yeah.
So a lot of them become referrals. A lot of them become clients that you help buy a house, sell a house, or sell their house for their family. You work your same whenever I started off, all I worked with was buyers.
Mm-hmm.
They're the easiest. There's more buyers than sellers. So they're just easier to work with. But as you start getting those referrals, those listings come for all the hard work, all those hours you spend running around to 20, 30 houses with people. Now you start reaping those rewards as a listing agent from that. So if you just came out and got a shit ton of listings handed to you, that it usually doesn't happen. It's not going to happen. But if you did, that's maybe another story. But you worked for all those listings.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a skill set, right? It's from her upbringing and her background of hard work, and so people come from different things. The listing side is a little bit more probably finesse, a little bit more whatever. Again, I don't do what you guys do, so I'm not trying to drop those bombs. But like to be a good buyer's agent, it's literally hard work, and you knew hard work your entire life, and so that became easy for you. And then to your point, right, mindset wise for you, I mean, you hit the nail on the head with everything you said. It was, I'm not supposed to be this person. I came from, a poor background. And so it was that confidence thing for you. How did you get over that, right? How did you get to that point because all it is mindset. And we know that. And we've had a lot of conversations over the past couple of years about, and I've watched you grow with that confidence, and there's no ego there, which is amazing about you. And I can't wait to see the future. But how are you able to overcome that hurdle to start getting those listings? Obviously, from a business perspective, as Brian said, it's natural through all the hard work and buyers, and then they really like you, and then they bring you listings. But like that doesn't that doesn't allow you to do a good job at the end of the day. You've got to have the right mindset and overcome the hurdle of the skill set and ability to do it. So how did you do that?
I think I'm still doing it. I think I'm still overcoming that fear and just learning to be more confident in myself. I think it's ongoing. I don't know if I'm ever going to be that person that is just like, hell yeah, I got this. I'm the best, it's a lot of like.
What's the biggest listing you've had so far?
I don't know my numbers like that. I'm so bad at that. It's so crazy because my clients that are my $100,000 clients and my clients that are like my $800,000 clients, I mean, they're the exact same to me. In fact, I feel like the $100,000 clients, the $200,000, they are like, they're my people. That's who I like really love helping because it gives me this like, I feel successful whenever like I'm helping somebody that didn't think they could ever buy a house in their life. They're like, they never thought that they would achieve that goal and buy their own house. And if I'm able to help them do that and walk them through that process, and they're putting all their trust in me for the biggest dream that they have. And that is more satisfying to me than selling like the big listings.
So humble. I love it.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I mean, yeah.
No, that resonates. I thought the same way. The second, third houses, whenever someone's buying or selling those, they're great because obviously the commissions are amazing. It's definitely different whenever you're in a price range that, frankly, we grew up in, right? It's a lot of our friends, a lot of their first homes they bought, and a lot of that might not have thought they were going to buy that house. But you're working through FHA type loans, 6%, really sticky negotiations to really try getting a house to pass. Those ones are the ones that are most rewarding for sure.
Yeah.
I had the same exact feeling. And most, like my average sale price my first year, and I think I did 18 or so transactions, was only like 80 grand. So I had a super low, and it jumped up to like 112 the next year, 130, and gradually increased to mid twos, like somewhere around the median. But it took a while to get there. But all the people I worked with was like, it was rewarding to work with those people.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were friends. Those were the people I grew up with.
Yeah, I think there's a sense of comfortability there, right? Because from the humbleness side of it to, what you're good at, right? And understand, and you can relate to those people, which makes it easier, right? And so we always talk about eliminating the fear of pushing yourself. For me, one of my big hurdles was social media. And so recently this year, I put myself out there, and, a lot of you people that are listening, maybe are starting to follow me a little bit more. I'm really putting myself out there lately. It's been insanely challenging, but at the same time, insanely rewarding, because it's just pushing those limits. And for me, watching you over the last 2 years, pushing those limits has been insane. Social media has been a part of that. So like, what has social media meant to you? I know you've had a lot of conversations with Brian. I think Brian won an award way back when on social media. And so, right. And you have a fear of putting yourself on that social media, but you're also doing more with posting and all of that. So like, what has social media meant to you over the past couple of years, and trying to, again, continue to push yourself further and eliminate those fears and put yourself outside of your comfort zone, gaining more confidence in yourself? What social media meant from that point of view?
I think social media is such it's been a blessing for me. It's also a curse. I do struggle with putting content out, I think, because I don't feel comfortable talking on social media or really putting just myself out there. I feel more comfortable putting like my family out there or like my clients. But me personally, I don't, sometimes I'm like, well, people aren't going to give a shit what I have to say. So why am I going to post this? And I get in my own head about that. I am trying to be better with it, because I will say, I've never paid for marketing ever.
Awesome.
So all of my business has come from family, friends, referrals. That's it. And social media, I work with people that I haven't talked to since high school or middle school even. I'm selling a house right now for a girl that I was friends with in middle school that, social media, she reached out to me on there. So I will say it, for those purposes, I feel like it's just amazing. A lot of my business has come from there. I do want to do some marketing, and I know I've talked to Brian about this a bunch. He's like hammers it down. Like, he's like, listen, you got to do the marketing, got to do this. And I know he's right. It's just, I know I've gotten like so far without it. And I know that if I start doing the marketing, that's when I feel like I might be overwhelmed and might need a team and might need.
I think you're getting comfortable.
I am.
That 10 million.
I know.
The next step.
We're getting you to 20 million at some point. Don't you worry. Listen, let me ask you this though, right? Because you just brought it up there. I think it's great, and I love this about you. You're such a family person. You're so family oriented, and you do post a lot. And I'm a religious follower of what you post around your family, and I love what you do, and especially with the pit. And I didn't realize you actually went there, so like it's even cooler to me to see all of that and taking her to the soccer games, etc. But like, you work your damn ass off, and you've had to work to overcome everything you've ever got. How has that influenced you? How has that inspired you? But then how difficult is it at the same time to balance all of that?
It's really hard, to be honest, because my husband works full time as It's so important to me to not miss a soccer game, to experience things with Antonia and make sure that I am present. That's one thing that I didn't really have like from my mom. So, you know, she worked really hard, but she couldn't be present. That was her priority. So juggling both, I think sometimes that's what gets super overwhelming to me because, you know, I have in the past sacrificed a lot, like family time for my clients. And I still do that. But now I'm like, get in the car, like the whole family's going to a showing. I mean, there are times where we'll be on our way to like Kennywood and I'll be like, surprise, we're going to stop and show a couple houses first. And like Shane and Tones are just like, they're used to it now. It's a lifestyle. And like, you know, it's so cute because she is seeing how hard that I work, but I'm still present. And she comes and she gets to experience things like interactions with my clients and showing houses. And like, that is teaching her hard work and work ethic is like, I obviously want her to have a better childhood than I did, right? I want her to grow up differently, right? Breaking that cycle. But I also want to instill the same values of like, this shit is not going to be handed to you. Like you have to work hard for the things you want. Because
and sacrifice, right?
Yeah.
At the same time, yeah.
So that's what's important to me. Definitely just instilling those same values into her while still giving her a great life, you know? Juggling both is sometimes really hard. And I think that's where I get comfortable sometimes because I'm like, okay, like I'm doing well and I am comfortable here and I'm still able to make the soccer games and do everything with my family. So it's like, you know, going to that next level is scary. And I sometimes think, what am I going to give up if I do that? Because for me, money is not the definition of success. It never has been. It never will be. I don't think that is what makes me successful. I think that making successful is being able to have that flexibility to be at her games, to be there when she gets home from school, to have some quality time with my husband while also paying our bills. I mean, Casey, we've talked about this. We live way below our means. Shane is always saying like, you're not like that little poor kid anymore. Like you can buy the cup of coffee. Like I still live like, you know, I don't know if we're going to be able to pay the mortgage next month. So we got to budget, you know, and it drives him crazy, but it's also allowed us to have investments because of that. It's allowed us to have rental property because of that, because I am a crazy saver because I'm always waiting for like, oh man, you know, what if something happens? Yes. And he's always like yelling at me, like, you can buy that coat. Like you're good. You know, we can afford this. But it's just something inside that I'm just, you know, I'm just frugal.
Yeah. It's, quick plug. Sara is a very active and great investor to Citylife. So anyone that's interested in investing in Citylife, we're certainly
super good decision, by the way.
Looking for that. So certainly reach out to us if you are. But yeah, right. You're an investor in Citylife now. Money helps at the end of the day. So you could say all of those things, and I don't disagree with any of it. I come from that humbleness, and right. But money helps, and so I'm also after, and everybody should be after it. Create the financial freedom for you to be able to make those decisions. If you don't want to go to work today, you don't want to take on a client, you don't have to because you have money, and it makes those decisions a lot easier. You've recently, right, the Citylife investment, which is doing great for you, as well as you just bought your first rental. And I know we had a conversation before you did it, and that's a huge hurdle for you. And I'm super proud of you. Like, what did that mean to you? And like, what's next when it comes to the investment side?
Well, first I want to say that the rental is in, guess where?
South side.
The South side.
I mean, listen, I wish every test I ever took was that easy.
I know, right? Oh, it took me a while to get over that hurdle, like just pulling that trigger. I feel like I would text you every couple months, like, should I? And you're like, pull the damn trigger, buy it. I finally did, and it's been amazing. I'm glad that I did it. It's in the South Side. I have a great tenant, and I'm ready for more.
What finally got you over that hurdle to go and pull that trigger?
I think honestly, I I felt like I was ready for more. You know, I was waiting. I kept putting things off the past couple of years, just like we didn't know if we like wanted to add to our family and stuff like that. And I just was like putting things off in my personal life and in my career, just kind of just really unsure of what our future was going to hold for our family. So I got to a point where I was like, you know what? Like I'm ready. I'm ready for more. I've worked hard. I know that I can do this. And I think that honestly, talking to you, just you're really good at feeding that confidence and being like, just do it.
In case anyone's wondering, my head's actively growing.
And I think
I can see it.
I think it being
It's starting to catch up to the size of my nose.
I think it being in the South Side too. I just felt like the stars aligned, and I was like, "This is meant to be." I just do it, and I'm glad. And we're ready for the second one. I don't know if Shane's is ready because he's like who I call him. Like the garbage disposal is broken.
He's
Go
do the work, right?
Yeah,
That's the in-house management company.
exactly. I always tell him like, listen, I'm funding it. I need you to just like be the guy.
Labor.
Yeah. So, but the goal, like, I mean,
yeah, right. Tell me, where do you see yourself in 5 years? What's next? Because this, I mean, obviously, fantastic story. Love everything about this. Right, you've come so far, just from childhood up through. Through college and your 4 years in real estate, like what's 5 years from now look like for you?
I think I mean, real estate, I don't think will ever not be a part of my life. I think that is, I mean, real estate is a lifestyle. I don't think it's a career. I think you kind of live, breathe, and eat it. I think the next 5 years though, we definitely want to have more properties. That's probably the main goal. I still want to kill it as an agent and be working, obviously doing maybe more than 10 million. I am comfortable there, but I do want to push myself. I think that as I want to keep proving to myself that like I can do it, that I'm good enough, I am enough, and that I don't know, I'm just going to keep like tackling these like little obstacles that come my way, really. And the goal is I just want to keep feeling this humble. I don't want to ever lose that. I don't want to ever lose this feeling.
Yeah, I think, we talk about it all the time, and right, the idea of if you're not growing, you're dying. And we talk about it in business and, everything else. I think you're an incredibly good example of that on a personal level. If you're not growing or dying, if you're not pushing yourself beyond your limits. So there's no doubt in my mind you're going to be doing much more than 10 million, whether you say it or not. I think that's the humbleness in you, right? Like, Brad, don't you? I mean,
yeah, no, easily. I think it depends too. We talked about all the time about hiring somebody, and that's really, I think that'd be the next step in your growth to get over that hump, because I think that'll actually create more time for you, more than you think, where you can attend those soccer games. You can do that because now you're delegating out some of that work, and you're actually creating another job by doing that as well. It's also helping somebody else feed their family by doing that, and creating a higher, like the income in your pocket might not grow significantly, but I think you would grow in more time. And also you would also create another job and still create that freedom at nights and on weekends and stuff that you want with your family.
Not only that, right? Like the ability to give back more and teach and lead and develop other people. I think you have that in you. I think it's incredible. So
it's scary. It's a challenge, but I think you'd crush it.
Thanks. Yeah, I think it is scary too. It's a lot of pressure to try to, knowing that I have to like help feed someone else's like family and making sure that they're like, I feel like I would take that on as such a, I don't want to say a burden, but like it would be, I couldn't fail them.
Yeah.
It would be, and so I think that'd be great, but also it's just kind of scary. And I think I have problems with like just letting go of the control of a transaction too. I like having the control from start to finish. So having like a coordinator.
Control freak.
I am. I mean, ask my husband. But I think that, that's something we have talked about. I know that is what I would need to grow. It's just pulling that trigger there.
We'll get there.
I'm gonna wrap this thing up here, right? Like like I do every podcast, what's the best advice you can give anybody that's listening right now?
I think the best advice to give would be to be resilient. A lot of things happen in life that aren't planned and may set you back, and it may make you feel like it's not worth it to keep going. I think that being resilient and determined to keep pushing through, I just keep fucking going. A lot of things will set you back, but I think that being determined to not give up, to prove people wrong, to prove yourself wrong, I think we're our biggest critique, and we are the self-doubt that's in our head is worse than what anyone else thinks about us. I know that for sure. So just keep going, really. I think just not giving up. I mean, I know that sounds so generic, but it's like something I write in Antonia's lunch, that something similar every day. Like have a voice, be kind, and don't give up. Like that is.
I absolutely love that, especially right with the uncertainty in the market and a recession looming over our heads at this point in time. Like that's absolutely incredible. Where can we find you?
Well, social media, on Facebook, Sara Augustine Welsh, and then on Instagram, it's the same thing, Sara Augustine Welsh. I mean, or you can call me. Should I give my phone number?
No, you don't. You get some creeps out there wanting to give you a call. Reach out to her. One of the best agents in the business, just really getting started in that. 4 years in, the sky's the limit for her. Love to see what she's doing out there. I think if you're in the market for a new home, make sure you give her a buzz. Reach out to her on the social media. Appreciate having you.
Thanks. It's fun. This is fun.
Let's go.